Hey guys, I'm Charlie, and today I'm talking about my book, The Undeniable God, A Civil Defense for Christianity, and more specifically, I want to talk about a section within the book where I talk about the problem of evil, or as some people call it, the problem of suffering. So basically, a lot of people will say that evil disproves the existence of God, because, as they would claim, an all-loving, all-powerful God would not allow evil to exist. So my goal is to explain that evil does not disprove the existence of God, and I'll be doing it in a question and answer format for the sake of simplicity. So a big idea to keep in mind is really most critics just don't understand the teachings of Christianity, or they lie about what Christianity teaches and say, now who could believe in a God like that? So, which is obviously not cool. So question number one, why would God create a world with evil? Again, this is a misunderstanding. If you read Genesis chapters 1 through 3, you'll see that God created the world in perfection. It was actually man who brought evil through the abuse of his free will. Basically, Christianity teaches that God gave man the ability to choose or reject him, and sadly, we rejected him. This brought in two types of evil, both moral and evil in nature. Moral evil is like when someone commits murder, theft, or rape. It's an evil action done towards another person. The evils we see in nature are things like natural disasters, diseases, things like tornadoes, earthquakes, cancer. You get the idea. Again, all of these things were brought on by man's choice, not God's. So God is not responsible for evil. We are. It's like we told God that we want all of the good things in this world, but without him. Some authors have described it as moral independence, meaning we wanted to decide what was right for us and not allow God to determine what was right and wrong for us. Question number two, why would God allow evil? Or as some would put it, why doesn't God prevent evil things from happening? Again, it goes back to free will. God gave us the ability to choose to do good or evil. So for us to have free will, he cannot prevent us from making choices. We cannot have free will and get mad at God when we abuse it. It's simply the result of our actions. So it's like asking for a contradiction. It's like putting your hand in the fire and blaming God that you got burned. So if God chose to prevent every evil from happening, then we couldn't have free will. It all goes back to our ability to choose. And the same goes with evil in nature. God created nature like a machine to produce good things. Now, as a result of our choice, nature is now broken, and it produces things like birth defects, diseases, natural disasters, and things like that. And God is not responsible for evil in nature. We are, because we have essentially tainted nature so that it does not function as he originally intended. So what it comes down to is that everyone acknowledges that we have free will and that people do evil things, but we keep throwing the blame back on God for our bad decisions. It's like we want the ability to make our own choices. We just don't want to accept the responsibility for doing bad things. An example that illustrates this is when I was a 10-year-old kid, a friend and I were wrestling in my backyard. At one point, he had me pinned to the ground, so I bit him on the arm until he bled so I wouldn't lose the wrestling match. So we must ask, is God responsible for that? Of course not. I am. I bit my friend. It's my fault. In the same way, we are responsible for our own actions, not God. So my final point, just to wrap things up, something we have to consider is that atheism cannot explain evil at all, as I mentioned in the old lady argument video. Terms like good and evil are ultimately meaningless if atheism is true, because atheism would have you believe that humans are worth no more than the poo on the bottom of someone's shoe. It's a belief in God that allows us to understand what goodness is. In fact, I would argue that Christianity has the best explanation for the problem of evil, and amazingly, the Bible says that he makes all things work out for our good. That means God has the ability to redeem the wounded places in our lives, and metaphorically speaking, what was seen as a stab wound or mutilation, God can turn into a surgical procedure for our healing. So what was once painful can be used to bring redemption and strength. Not only does this apply to our current life, but the book of Revelations makes it clear that one day God will defeat evil once and for all, and we will return to the perfect Eden state as mentioned in Genesis. So there you have it. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. You can check out the links where you can get a copy of my book in both digital and print form. You can also check out our website where you see free blogs, other videos, my fact sheet that proves the authenticity of Christianity, and you can also check us out on Facebook and Twitter. So thanks guys. Share this video with a friend.